Slayer710 here, and today I'm going to be going over a premium tank currently for sale in the premium store, the SU-76i. In this review, I will be going over a short history of the tank, then I will show some gameplay, and then finally go over how it fares in the holy trinity of tanks, and tell you if I personally think it's worth the price tag of $6. Near the beginning of 1942, the production of the Su-76 tank destroyer began to slow, as problems became apparent with its low armor, unpleasantness to drive, and bad transmission, to the point where Russian troops started referring to it as Suka or Sucha, or bitch or little bitch, respectively. After capturing some Stugmashurgits III and Panzer IIIs, the Russian tank industry sought to solve the problem, and after adding armor from the Stug and the Panzer III's commander cupola to a modified Su-76 chassis, the problem was solved. This tank was met with a much better reception and served from 1942 to 1944 on many fronts. In World of Tanks, this tank destroyer can play many roles, from sniper to close-range assault tank destroyer, kind of like the Yog Tiger. Okay, so we are in on our first round. It's a Copperfield encounter battle, and it's not very favorable matchmaking as there are some tier 4s, but this round will just show you how the Su-76i, and Ice Claw my version, can hold its ground inside of a tier 4 match, unlike the other major seal clubber, the Panzer IIJ. Okay, looks. Anyway, so, our team decides, hey, we're going to go ahead right. So, I'm going to go right with most of my team. When I first started this game, I thought I could rely on the DW2 because he has a premium camo. That most of the time means somebody's a seal clubber, and it usually means they're pretty good. It also means if you're on the opponent team, you should probably watch out for them. Anyway, so this tank's gun, for a tier 3 gun, this is way better than the Su-76 in the first place. And so we spot a Chiha. I think about shooting, but it's way too late at that point, and there's no point. Also, though I don't do it in this battle, actually I'll just showcase the next battle, doesn't matter. So, I take a pot shot at the Panzer IIG, that dank vaunted Russian accuracy, missing the first shot. Our anti-communist looks moves forward. And this kind of shows you how well this tank can fare even in a tier 4 match. Because I can hold my ground against this Hetzer half decently well. And the alpha of this gun just lets it fight any tier 3 or tier 4 effectively. Anyway, we're making some ground. We knocked out their Hetzer. Their Chi on their Chi here going around that corner, and our looks requesting backup, but I have my sights set on killing the Panzer IIG. So I put one shot into him, and that was a 192 damage roll, which is just insane. And our T-82, which I think is going to knock him out, turns out he doesn't, so I was like, you know what, I'll just deal with it myself. So I move forward, and I think about trying to end it with a round, but I end up shooting him, and this game over. The Chi, he starts turning around, and I try to turn around, but somebody already puts a pretty big shot to him. And then, actually, no, never mind, I guess. Do I get him?
Nope.
Oh. Yeah, I don't even know how that bounces. And the T-82 puts a shot into him, and he gets knocked out. Everyone else is on the end of this, and I was like, you know what? Let's see if Russian bias is real. I guess it is. So I load up a second shell to see if I can try to finish him off, an HE shell, no less, because this thing has really good HE penetration and damage. But unfortunately, Stalin does not smile on me twice in a row, and I missed the second shot. So I decided to aim for the T-82, but as I see he's aiming directly for me, and I'm spotted, I back off for a little bit. And by the time I move forward with my gun reloaded, he's gone. So I decided... I go for the M3 Light because I've just realized this far in the round how effective my HE is. I mean, I knew it before, but it was just not coming across my mind for some random reason. Anyway, I decided to move forward because I think that's the only way I'll be able to kill the T-82, but it looks like our looks decides to go forward and kill him. So yeah, that's the end of that round. Let's go to the post-battle stats. So, I got a 3rd class mastery badge, did not do the best on my team, definitely did not do worst on my team, and our T-82 is the person who did better than me. So, to the next round. Okay, so we are in round 2, and not completely favorable matchmaking, as there are some tier 4s on each team, again, but as you saw during the last round, this thing can definitely hold its own inside of a tier 4 round, as long as you're not too over-aggressive. And hopefully this round will also showcase how powerful the armor is on this thing as well, not just the gun. So as we start out, everyone decides to go left, so I agree to that. And since this thing is built off the, even though I said my history thing, it's built off a slightly modified, chassis of a Su-76, but that version also has a Panzer III's commander's cupola. This version, which was the original version, actually uses a modified Stugma 3 chassis for its body. As you can see, it even has like the German headlights on it and stuff. But that also means it's a pretty fast tank. With a 76mm gun, it's really nothing to laugh at. Even though it has a 12.3 second reload, it's incredibly effective for the tier. Anyway, I continue forward, and they have a Lux and a Chiha, but doesn't matter that much. So I load HE finally, because last round I didn't really use the HE when I could have. That is how effective the HE is on this thing. And so Chiha bounces a shot off of me. And I turn my sights to the M8A1 because I feel like I can do a ton of damage to him with an HE shot, but he moves out of my range, so I turn my sights back to the T-46, and my shot goes into his tracks, which means it does basically no damage. Then I decide, I'm just going to move in and kill off this M8A1. So, going for the ram, things back armor isn't too bad either. Bounce a shot from the Chiha, but then the Chiha gets a shot into me. The Lux, though it looks like he's AFK, actually shocking enough isn't. I tried to put a shot into him, but it's way too late at that point. And that was just bad reaction times on my part. So, he doesn't get another shot around at me, and me and the Panzer III decide to move up. So I catch up to the Panzer III, and we start sort of pushing the corner. So I decide, you know what, I'll just let somebody else deal with the Lux, even though I'm pretty cautious about turning around the back corner. And I have an HE shell loaded, so we get a shot to the back of him. And the Chiha starts putting shots back into me, and unfortunately enough, even though this thing's pretty good, its reload just isn't good enough. So I try to repair it, but before I can reload, it knocks me out. So yeah, on to the next round. Okay, so we are in an encounter battle on Castilla, and most of our team decided to head around to where the castle is, even though the T-82 decided to go around the other way. So, our Panzer IV-D, unfortunately enough, has the stock gun, which is going to bite us pretty hard later. And so yeah, we're all just heading around that way, but nothing really eventful is going to happen, so I'm going to speed up the footage until I get near to there. Okay, so we spotted our first enemy, an A-32, and I see he's aiming at me, so I try to turn my frontal armor at him, but it's too late, and he gets a shot into me. But that's not really the end of the world, even though I now am on half health, because the A-32 is a pretty powerful gun. See the T-46 coming up, and I try to move up to get a shot into him, but even though I waited long enough to try to get a shot into him, it still missed. But the T-46's gun bounces off my frontal armor, and so does the M3 Light. So at this point, I'm pretty confident the M3 Light, there's no way of him penning me. And so, since the T-46 is much harder to hit, I decided to go for the M3 Light instead. I get a shot into him, not a very high roll, but a shot nevertheless, and our Panzer IV-D finally picked up the first kill on the T-46. I'm pretty worried about the A-32 up on the hill, because he looks like he can do some serious damage. But I'm hoping that a Stuart can take him out, because I've kind of made up my mind at this point, even though I know there's a martyr engaging our T-82, to go engage that M3 Light. But the martyr ends up taking up the T-82, and the T-82 did a grand total of 0 damage to him. And my next shot just goes straight into the M3 Light's tracks. And so now I'm slightly worried about the martyr putting shots into my flank, but I kind of want to kill this M3 Light. So I load up HE for the back to hopefully try to one-shot it. And I don't. And then the A-32 goes for me. So I try to keep him pinned here so he's stuck, and the M3 Light's trying to move, but he knocks me out. But I think I trapped the A-32 on my gun, but the A-32 comes free. I still think he's trapped, and then this happens, and I don't really know what the deal is here. I feel like he's trapped, but I feel like he could also get away. But our Covenanter decides, you know what, I'm just going to ram him, because that would be an amazing idea. And the A-32 puts shot after shot into the Covenanter, and even though we're getting shots in, it's just kind of too late. The Covenanter rams himself again, and then the A-32 finishes him off. But luckily, our M5A1 Stuart, the Chinese variant, hits the A-32 enough to try to kill him. And then, I don't know where I thought this was a good idea. There's an AMX-40 coming up the other side, and the A-32 just diving over the edge of the cliff. And so our Panzer IV-D, thinking it's an amazing idea, don't shoot, just ram him. Does that, but also sacrifices a lot of health in the process. Our Cruiser 4, who could do something, is now in a not very good position, since we're against 2 Ducks and an A-32, which are all very dangerous enemy tanks. Cruiser 4 puts shots into the Ducks, but it's just too heavily armored, and they just don't do anything. So the A-32 is finally getting itself out of the water, but at this point, our M5A1 Stuart's trying to flank around to try to hit the Ducks. And the Cruiser 4 knocks out the A-32. So now it's just 2 Ducks versus 3 of us. The Cruiser 4 decides, you know what, I'm just going to YOLO them. One of the Ducks seems to be having like Wi-Fi problems or something. And then the Cruiser 4 just rammed himself to death, because that was an amazing idea. Though, granted, he did more damage than he could have, probably did more damage than he would have otherwise done, because his shots weren't penning. I don't know what our Panzer IV-D is trying to do here, so our Stuart's getting itself killed because it just cannot pen the ducks. Panzer IV-D decides, you know what, I'm just going to slink into the river, because this is going to be an amazing idea. Now, at this point, his crew shouldn't be drowning, because it's the turret ring where the crew start drowning. I don't know why our Stuart isn't putting rounds into the AMX-40 that can damage him, but the Stuart sort of tries to get away, but it's just far too late at this point. Capture the base, I don't even know what they're thinking. And the Stuart gets knocked out. So, I know we're definitely getting an L at this point, but... What? What are you doing? So I legitimately thought he was going to drown himself here purposely, and then he makes it to the other side of the shore. And then the duck comes crashing down the hill. Someone takes no damage because, you know, it's a duck. It's an amphibious creature. It has to get its last kill while in the water. Amazing player.
You fucking idiot! Oh my god, it's the worst player in World of Tanks history!
Okay, so that was a defeat. Got only 129 credits, and I didn't do best on the team, but I did better than the Panzer IV-D, which is basically saying nothing because he suicided. Anyway, now to the conclusion. So now, for the conclusion. For my rating on the Holy Trinity of tanks, for speed, I give this tank an 8 out of 10. And that's because this tank is pretty fast for a heavily armored tank with a good gun. And this is one of the few tanks I think achieves all three of the Holy Trinity. So, because of its Stigma Sugar 3 chassis and it making it half decently fast, I give it an 8 out of 10 on for speed because also its weight and its armor add up, making the speed more and more significant. For the gun, I give it an 8.5 out of 10 because its HE is amazing, and though its aiming time isn't great, it has great penetration and its alpha is really good, even though its reload is sort of long. And for the armor, I give it a 7.5 out of 10 because even though the frontal armor is not impenetrable, but it's very hard to penetrate by most tanks in this game, the side and rear armor isn't that thick, but I guess you can't have everything. So this is the first time I think I've reviewed that it completes all three of the Holy Trinity and breaks the rule that one tank that excels in the first two will fail in the third. So, in conclusion, I think this tank is totally worth it. I personally think it's a better seal clubber than the Panzerkampfwagen 2J. This is because its frontal armor is almost impenetrable, and it can still do something for the team if it's in a tier 4 round, unlike the Panzer 2J, which even if it loads full gold, chances are it won't be able to pen anything. So yeah, seriously get this tank, because for $6, this is definitely worth it. That's all for this review. Thanks for watching, and until next time.